What is going on, guys? Welcome to a brand new YouTube video. Quick lip update. Excuse the skin, it's a little bit dry because I haven't moisturized properly this morning, but it's starting to heal, starting to get there. It is a lot less messy than it was when it first happened, as you can probably tell. Slowly, very slowly, it's getting easier to eat and shower and brush my teeth and that kind of thing, but it's still kind of difficult. But the most important thing is that we are on the right track and the road to recovery. Just got myself a fresh haircut. You know how it goes. Got to get it done once every week or once every 10 days or once every 2 weeks. Just really depends when I can get it done. We have got a banger of a video in store for today because the topic, I was just lying in bed one night. I'd accidentally had some caffeine like quite late and I was just lay there awake with my eyes just like wide like dinner plates. And I was thinking about this topic. I was thinking, Dean, what is it going to take for you to become a better man in 2026? And that got me thinking, well, actually, what does it mean to be a good man? And automatically I got thinking about the journey that I've been on the past few years and like how I've improved my life in so many ways. So I thought I'd discuss that topic in today's video. What's it mean to be a good man and how can you become a better man? And I'm actually really excited to get into this video. I want to discuss a few topics and I want to see if you agree or if you have any opinions on them. It's going to be a good time, so I hope you're as excited as I am. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Let's go ahead and get this one started. So the first and the most simple way that you can become a better man in 2026 is to quite simply just look after yourself. And this first point is so simply just about respecting yourself. And you might be rightfully asking the question, Dean, what does that have to do with me becoming a better man? And you have to understand that you can't give your best self to the world. You can't be the person that you truly can unless you properly look after yourself and you know that you're on top form. It all starts from within. You know, you've heard the saying so many times, you can't pour from an empty cup. And it really is true because a lot of men, you know, we are trying to do so much. We are working extremely hard. We are trying to provide for our families and our loved ones. And to an extent, yes, of course, you have to make sacrifices in order to do that. That's an important part of it. But sometimes I feel like that is taken too far. Let me give you an example. I feel like a lot of people watching this probably struggle with, you know, feeling tired and fatigued a lot of the time. But let me also ask you, do you even have a proper established sleep pattern whereby you go to bed at the same time roughly every day and you wake up roughly at the same time every day, therefore ensuring that you get enough sleep to feel well enough rested to take on the next day? For a lot of people, that's quite simply just not the case. It's also things like having a skincare routine and getting regular haircuts. So, you know, when you look in the mirror, you always feel like, you know, you always feel good about yourself. And you might still be questioning, this doesn't sound like it's going to help me become a better man. And my challenge to you is to give it a try. Because I actually think, you know, if you do focus on these things, if you do focus on looking after yourself a little bit better, you will just genuinely carry yourself a little bit taller, like when you go about your everyday business. It really is just a self-respect thing. You know, when you respect yourself, you feel it. So at least just give it a try. Make an effort to just dress a little bit better. Make an effort to look after your skin a bit better. Get into a proper sleep routine whereby you're actually getting enough rest. Get regular haircuts and look after your facial hair so you can actually be happy with what you see in the mirror. I'm still surprised at how big an impact it had on me, and I'm sure you would find the same for yourself as well. Let's be honest, guys, you all knew this point was coming, and that is to get yourself in shape. Once again, this is tied to the self-respect thing. I think you need to respect yourself enough to keep yourself healthy and in good shape. But also, and this is definitely 100% something that I've noticed in a big way since I got myself in shape, people treat you differently and they treat you with a lot more respect when you're in shape. I have learned over time that being in shape makes you more memorable. From the self-confidence standpoint, it helps you make a better first impression. Just to give you an example, sometimes when I go into a new hospital for work and I meet new staff, I know it sounds funny, but I see the way they look at me and I see the way they look at my arm when I shake their hand. I remember one place when I walked in and I met my contact for the first time. He just looked at me and goes, "Nice to meet you, Muscles." And he just Ever since then, he just calls me Muscles, which, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm completely fine with that personally. To me, it's a nice nickname because someone is clearly recognizing something that I've put a lot of hard work and effort over time into. But anyway, I'm getting a bit sidetracked there. So how does getting in shape make you a better man? And literally, how long have you got? The best way that I can explain this is think of all the traits that it takes to get yourself in serious shape. Discipline, consistency, resilience, the ability to tolerate hard things, the ability to do things regardless of how you feel. Now, every one of you watching this knows how long this list can go on for. Are you really going to tell me that you're going to exercise all of these traits on a consistent basis and not feel better for it? And in addition to all of this, I think getting in shape is such an easy way to prove to yourself that you're actually capable of achieving something. Now, this is a problem that I've discussed in previous videos. I actually think a lot of people's issues with self-confidence are rooted in the fact that they've not proven to themselves that they're actually capable of achieving anything. They've not actually done anything for long enough to prove to themselves that they can actually see tangible or intangible progress. Now, we are going to discuss this topic in a lot more detail, but I think that as a man, a lot of your confidence actually comes from competence. And if you can prove to yourself that you have the competence to achieve something like getting yourself in shape, you're going to feel infinitely better about who you are and what you're capable of. Now, I just mentioned that I believe a lot of your confidence as a man comes from developing competence. So let's go ahead and discuss that a bit further, shall we? Alright, so as I mentioned, competence develops confidence, and what exactly do I mean by that? Well, first of all, I think it helps to define what confidence actually is. And I know self-confidence is a very nuanced topic, but I'm going to do my best to explain this in a way that hopefully you can understand. I think self-confidence can be defined as your level of certainty of achieving a specific outcome or something else. To give you an example, if I was to ask you to shoot a three-pointer on basketball and you'd never ever done that before in your entire life, odds are you wouldn't feel very confident of doing it. But if you're someone who's played basketball for years, you've probably practiced a three-pointer like thousands and thousands of times across your years of playing basketball, you're probably going to feel a bit more confident of achieving it. If you were going to interview for a promotion in work and you hadn't really studied any interview skills before, in the grand scheme of things, you're not very experienced in the role that you're doing now, and you haven't really gone to the effort to research the new role in a lot of great detail, you might not feel very confident going into that interview. But if you had studied the role extensively, so you knew it inside out, if you're a bit more experienced in your field, if you'd spent a lot of time brushing up on your interview skills and practicing them, you're probably going to feel a bit more confident. And of course, these are just a couple of examples. I feel like you could apply this to so many different things, but the underlying trend remains the same. The more your competence grows, the more your confidence grows alongside it. And you really can apply this to so many different things about your life. If you think about the things in your life that you're not very confident in, ask yourself the question, have you developed competence around it? The last thing I wanted to raise about becoming a better man in 2026 is to just plainly and simply stop lying to yourself. You got to be 100% honest with yourself and 100% true to yourself. Because if you don't, it puts you in a really tough spot when it comes to improving your situation. And right at the start of this video, you saw that I was getting a haircut from my barber and really good friend Connor. There was actually a really interesting piece of the conversation that we had when he was cutting my hair, which I really kind of wish the camera was rolling for. Connor's another guy who's kind of like into the gym, not necessarily to build muscle or get jacked or whatever, just as a general health thing. And I asked him how his gym progress had come along, and he told me that he hasn't really been for the past 6 weeks or so, and he is really hoping to pick it up again before the end of this year. Now, Connor has 4 kids and he works full time, so I know he's a busy guy. So I said, oh, has it just been tough juggling everything and managing to get to the gym? And he paused for a second and then was like, no, actually, to be honest, it's been my decision not to go. He said, I could have gotten to the gym, I should have gone to the gym, but I just haven't. And that level of honesty is so refreshing. He could have lied to me and just said that, oh, he's having trouble juggling everything. But the thing is, and this is something that I really want people to understand, is that when you do kind of like tell those little white lies and stuff, the only person you're really lying to is yourself. It makes no difference to me that he's not going to the gym or why he's not going to the gym. It's not affecting my life, it's only affecting his. But what also happens when you do tell those little white lies is that you reinforce a narrative to yourself. You know, by verbalizing the fact that you are trying to go to the gym but you're not, and then obviously you don't see the progress on the work that you don't do. And I wish people realize just how damaging that can be. Think about it this way, if you are inherently, and you know, I hate to use this term because I don't want it to come across in any kind of derogatory way, but if you are a lazy person and you try and convince yourself that you're not lazy, the likelihood is you're just going to be upset about not being where you need to be. And because you convince yourself and you try and convince others that you're not lazy, you don't actually look within and think about the things that you could change. Whereas if you're just accepting of the fact that you are lazy, that's when you start to open up new avenues and doors and think, okay, well, if I started doing this, then that'll probably make me a less lazy person. At least if you acknowledge it, you can get started on that path to make it better. You need to have that level of integrity with yourself. Be 100% honest, be 100% true to yourself. That is such a simple yet effective way for you to become a better man in 2026. Okay, so the final thing I wanted to discuss when it comes to becoming a better man in 2026, and as you can see, I've got a special guest to help me explain this one. This is my one and only client, Miss Gemma. And I've already explained the concept of the video, and I thought it would be really cool to get her input on this. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, and this is something that's very, very, very underrated when it comes to, you know, really leveling up your life, I believe anyways, is just plain and simply stop hanging out with shit people. I see this all the time. You know, it's true what they say, if you show me your friends, you know, you can pretty much see what your life's going to be like. If you're hanging around people who have got no ambition, no drive, no really, really good qualities that are going to take them far in life, they don't have, you know, that hard work and kind of streak in them, guess what's going to happen to you if you hang out with people who don't have those traits? You're not going to have those traits either. That's the most likely scenario. Second thing is, you gotta be around people who actually want to see you win. People actually are happy for you when you level up, because one of my biggest defining characteristics of a good friend is someone who's genuinely happy for you when you win. If someone's not happy for you when you win, they're probably not your friend to begin with. But I thought it'd be really cool to get Gemma's input on this, because obviously, if you haven't realised, Gemma's not a man, but me and Gemma actually share a lot of very similar viewpoints on these things, and I actually thought it'd be really cool to get a woman's input on this, on what it takes to be a good man. Most specifically with, what would you say about, like, when it comes to people, like especially men who you meet and like who you talk to or whatever, about the people they hang out with and like the kind of impact, what does it say about them as well as a person?
I think for me, you can tell when somebody is a strong man because they're really convicted in their own opinions on things in life. But I also think that they don't worry about what other people's opinions are, and the same for their friendship groups, and I think that's really important. If you worry too much about what other people are thinking about you, then you're not living life for yourself.
You're always trying to live
to impress others.
People. That's just no way to live. Like, you just end up being a really inauthentic version of yourself. I just covered that earlier in the video as well, talking about like how you need to just be your 100% most authentic self and be true to yourself. But when it comes to like hanging out with people, like people you hang out with specifically, like what kind of things do you see in your friends? What kind of traits do you look for in friends and like people who you want to actually spend time with?
People that are genuine, because I think that is quite rare in the society that we live in today. People that will lift you up, people that when you are going through a hard time like I have recently, that will drop by and make sure you're okay, bring you some flowers like my friend did the other week. You've come to see me and check in on me and make sure I'm all right. And I think it's easy for people to be with you in the good times, but are those friends still with you in the bad times? And if they're not, then are they really your friends?
100%. Don't underestimate the value of this, guys. If you want to become a better man in 2026, you have to really look at your circle around you. And I'll openly admit, and I think you know this as well, I don't have many friends, and I'm completely okay with that, because the ones that I do have are very good and they have great traits that I would like to emulate and like display and like develop in myself. If you hang out in a room with 5 losers, guess what you're going to become? You're going to become the next loser. You hang out in a room with 5 winners, guess what you're going to become? The next winner. So really, really do make sure you order your circle, because that has a bigger impact on your life than you might think. Cut. And with that, folks, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. Out of the points that we discussed in this video, which one do you think that you're going to focus on most in 2026? Make sure you drop a comment below and let me know. Was there anything that you particularly agreed with or disagreed with? Is there anything you'd actually add to this list? To be honest, there was a lot more points that I wanted to discuss, but I think maybe I will revisit this at some point and do like a part 2. So keep your eyes peeled for one of those. In the meantime, I'd like to thank you so much for watching as always. I'm extremely grateful that you spent a few minutes with me when you're going to be doing literally anything else. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Next video, we've got a really nice throwback coming. So have an amazing week, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.